All right, guys. Hey, we're sorry for the delay. I know it's been a lengthy period of time. I had to cycle through almost all of the thing here, all the commercials I had. So just one more moment here, trying to resolve. Oh man, they didn't even let me wrap it up. So never mind. Apparently, we're just gonna go in. So let's go ahead and get into this draft. On the wrong page. You know what? I'll show you the maps again here real quick. So maps, we had banned out from Frank's Furters. We had the bans on Braxis Holdout and Sky Temple. For Game of Thrones, bans on Alterac Pass and Volskaya Foundry. And the selection was Infernal Shrines coming out from Game of Thrones here. So, all right. Oh, I need to turn that off. That holiday logo was really screwing up the setup there. Did not like that at all. So welcome everybody. Glad you could join us here. So our early bans, we're going to see the Garrosh and Kael'thas being banned out. Followed up by the Sylvanas. Thanks again for your patience as we had a little bit of a last minute sub changes here. Infernal Shrines. Li Ming's gonna get banned out as well. Let me make sure that I got my setup here with the right, and they're on the wrong sides. Of course they are. Let's go ahead and swap those. So ETC going to be the first pick here. ETC is, as I recall, one of the preferred heroes. We could also see that Raynor seems to be the go-to for the Frank's Furters. And let's see. Indecisive, gonna go with the Lucio. And there's that Raynor. So we'll see how this turns out for the Frank's Furters here with the ETC Raynor, a couple of heroes that they rather enjoy picking up on the regular. Let's see. So who do we have over here? Apollo, Bloody Drapes. So Khaleesi's missing. Make sure I've got these names right. Can't tell if that's Sorelia or Sorelian. But Arthas is going to be the third ban here for Game of Thrones. And Gul'dan. So really banning out the potential for Shrine Clear, for the pushing with the Immortal. Not the Immortal, I guess these are Punishers. But we've got an Alexstrasza here, so Alexstrasza is going to give them that shrine value, allowing them to push harder. And it's going to be Orphea and Blaze, so we still don't know what flavor of Varian we have here. And the final pick here, we got Dahaka, and then it's going to be the Murky for Blue Bananas. So Murky's got pretty good Shrine Clear. Dahaka can do pretty decently. Raynor's okay. So they've got that covered. They'll probably just leave Murky and go do other things if I had to guess. And on the other side, we're going to get a Gazlo. So not a whole lot of blow-up potential coming out here. So I'm going to guess this is a DPS variant as opposed to a taunt variant. I don't know which flavor of DPS variant. Into that, I would guess maybe Smash. So that's a lot of stuns potentially to deal with, but who knows? We'll see. We'll see how this goes. Hey, and look, that chat calling out the exact same things I just said. Cool. Love to see it. All right, well, there's a poll posted in chat. Vote for who you think's gonna win game number 1 here between Game of Throws and Frank's Furters, as we get set up on Infernal Shrines for game number 1. Could be an interesting setup here. We've got Gazlo, who could, again, they, could be looking for just basically leaving one person on the shrine and then having the rest of the team go elsewhere. Now, that being said, Gazlo is their kind of their siege value, unless they get like a Twins Blades, then he can do, some okay. So maybe they do the opposite. Maybe they send 4 and have Gazlo push while Murky is doing Murky things. All right, rooting. Hopefully a team wins. Yes, hopefully a team does win. Oh, gotta turn that one off too. All right, ladies and gentlemen, on the left, we've got Game of Throws. Sparhawk is going to be playing Alexstrasza, Apollo on the Blaze, HK Bear on Orphea, Cerulean on the Varian, and Gazlo going to be played by Bloody Drapes. And for the Frank's Furters, Dallying Pig going to be on ETC, Boggs on Raynor, Indecisive on Lucio. Dahaka is going to be played by DJ Coldcuts, and Murky coming in with Blue Bananas. I don't know what to say about that. Our talents here, so we do have the Accelerando for Lucio, giving him that movement speed between the lanes, helping the rotations go a little bit faster. Ace in the hole for Raynor, and a fishy deal for Murky, so that they can get more of those bribe stacks and camps, getting those camps real easily. So gonna keep an eye on Murky. He's probably gonna be looking to get in on some of those aggressive camps while the rest of the team is busy elsewhere. Now, if you haven't been paying attention, maybe living under a rock, you may notice here on these minions, there are these small little globes. There's one that just disappeared over to the left here. And those are the XP. The minions no longer give XP themselves. You actually have to gather the XP from those little globes. So you can see here, you have to be relatively close to gather that XP, but the globes do move a little bit toward you as long as you're within a reasonable proximity. So we're going to see, I think, going forward, a little bit more of a focus for solo lanes on having the melee heroes, people that are going to be up in that lane fighting over things anyway, like your Sonya, like your Dahaka. You know what? I don't know. Maybe a Gazlo gets more value out of it. And it looks like a lot of votes out in chat. We got 2 votes, and it's split 50-50. It's anybody's game. ETC knocking back Apollo there, but Blaze using that jet propulsion to get the stun is going to go ahead and pull back. So we do have Circle of Life for Alexstrasza, going to help with that big abundance circle, eventually giving some additional globes. I believe this is on point for the Orphea, and we have a camp invade coming in as just the 2 of them. Orphea getting real low, the miss on penetrating round, but Lucio going in and getting the kill. First blood on the camp invade. But ultimately, Dragon was used to secure the camp, getting them the XP, getting them the value there. Not quite able to get the kill onto Dallying Pig, but that means Dragon's not going to be available for the shrine that's coming up here in just 30 seconds now. But there goes Blaze, as Dallying Pig getting that power slide in, locking him down long enough for Boggs to finish the job. Let's take a look at our XP numbers, just as we go through this here. So about 3,000 more XP so far on the side of the Frank's Furters. A lot of that coming from minions, about 2,000 more from minions, almost 3,000 more. Really, that's actually the difference for them. Even though they have 2 kills, most of the difference in XP has been coming from those minions. So we'll have to see how that works out for them overall. But it's going to be, first off here, Blaze falling as everybody coming in 5 versus 5, Indecisive booping back Bloody Drapes. And that's going to be a Gazlo going down as well. 2 for nothing so far here. Make it 3 for nothing as Alex dropping that circle and trying to get the healing, but not quite able to do it. It is a Twin Blades variant, but he's also going to down. Until he gets that level 7, he's not quite going to have that sustain he needs to be able to survive in those fights. And this is all but going to go into the hands, I think, of Frank's Furters at this point. They did catch up and now have surpassed the minions on the control point here. Murky down in the bot lane, though, so we could see a big push here coming in from Game of Thrones as they're coming back onto this point. 36 to 18, though, so it's unlikely unless they get some quick kills. Now, ETC doesn't have any mana left, so he's in a bit of danger as Lucio going to be the first to fall on the side of the Furters. And Blaze trying to zone out ETC. With no mana, ETC can't really get in there and get some value. But they do get that last Skeletal Defender down. And the Arcane Punisher is going to go over to Frank's Furters. Now, the Punisher did its jump over, so it's not going to be coming over toward the fort. It's not going to get that free damage from the fort, at least not yet. So it's going to get about half of that wall down, but only ETC here, as the rest of the team electing to split up into lanes, gather soak where they can. And again, got to keep an eye on these XP globes that are kind of just hanging out for some of these. They do stick around for about 6 seconds, so not a lot of time. Certainly not in the middle of a combat. And during that, we did see Murky come down, get the bottom siege camp. Varian now does have level 7, so does have access to Nevermind, went to Victory Rush, so a little bit of a different setup there. Now, this is a map where you can get a lot of value out of Victory Rush because it works when you kill those skeletal defenders. But a big coming in for the camp invade with the level 10s here, but both Lucio and ETC getting very low. The shield coming out from Lucio helping them to survive, but that mosh pit from Dallying Pig enough to help lock down the Alexstrasza, get that kill. They get another kill onto Blaze, but they sacrifice their ETC to get it. And the Rainer. So ultimately, you know what? That's about as good as you could expect, I think, if you are Game of Thrones on that camp invade. Get 2 kills and really high value kills too. The tank and, you know, their primary damage, primary assassin. You lose 3 players, you get your siege camp, so okay, whatever. But you know what? Being down 2 levels, they probably got just as much XP out of that as Frank's Furters did. And they are approaching level 10s. We did see level 10s here for the Frank's Furters, so we got that mosh pit. Looks like Isolation, Hyperion out from Rainer, Octograb for the Murky, and then Sound Barrier for Lucio. So looking for those stuns, locking a hero down, maybe like the Alexstrasza or the Orphea, and then just having that sustained damage between Murky and Rainer to finish the job. But Gazlo being caught here just a little bit in front of his gate does get the Gravel Bomb stun, but the tower's not doing enough damage to get any kills out of it. And that is a 90-second cooldown, I believe. It'll be gone here for a little while. Yeah, 90 seconds. But they got the Shaman camp pushing up in the top lane now. Alexstrasza coming down here. Again, like, this is another change. I don't want to say change. It's another aspect of the change that's kind of important. You know, sending your healer to the other lane doesn't get as much value now if they can't actually move forward to gather that soak. So, you know, a hero like Alexstrasza going into a Rainer might have a little bit more difficulty in doing that. So interesting to see how some of these effects come up from these changes. Now Gazlo's already set up down here. Dahaka does burrow down and helps to clear out this lane, gather that soak. And it's already a quarter of the way done here for Game of Thrones. They've got their full team, and incoming from above are the Frankfurters. So we got a bit of a pinch here going on. Big ETC Mosh hits 4, and Blaze off on the other side with the Octo Grab. So that's going to be 2 kills here so far in favor of Frankfurters. Now the big tongue onto Varian, pulling him back as well, is likely going to get a 3rd kill, and it does secure that. So Dragon and Orphea trying to get some work done. Probably should have just said, you know what, cut our losses and get out of here, because now that ends up being a full 5-man team wipe. That was set up by that pincher move coming in from Frankfurters from above and allowing ETC to just power slide in, get a big 4-man mosh. And Murky, you know what, Murky coming in here because Blaze didn't have new habits anyway, so couldn't have done anything about it. I was gonna say Blaze with their unstoppable could have potentially, you know, prevented that, but not with the talent that they took, getting those extra auto attacks. Blaze is going to go down there to the Dahaka, but we've got Gaslow versus Murky here. And Lucio finishing off the Varian as well. Sorry, I wanted to show that Siege Camp. I thought that the fight over this was not going to turn into a couple of kills. I thought that the teams would be a little bit more defensive, but they didn't. So big Punisher stun is going to get root onto the Gaslow, the tongue out onto Orphea as well, so that's going to get them 2 kills. Alexstrasza all by herself now, doesn't have any mobility, and she's facing an ETC and Lucio combination. ETC is all kinds of out of mana, but it doesn't really matter. There's just the 2 of them here, so Blaze is trying to maybe get some stall, but again, even with the combustion, they're going 4 versus 2 here. So they're again, kind of about as good as they could expect, being able to, you know, walk away from that going into that 4v2. And Lucio's going to go ahead and pull Frankfurters out, give them that disengages. Check out these mana bars. They got nothing. They are on empty. Nothing on Raynor, nothing on ETC. But in the top lane, DJ Cold Cuts, gathering that XP. Oh no, and there's another stun here with the Octograb, this time onto Alexstrasza. And they don't need a whole lot of mana to just sit there and auto attack, and that's exactly what they're doing. As Raynor popping off, getting the kill onto Blaze. They get the kill onto Varian as well, and now Orphea diving in with that Q talent. And once again, we've got a big 5-man team wipe here coming out on the side in favor of Frankfurters. So I think Game of Thrones right now really has to, you know, take a moment to kind of collect themselves. They're kind of in a rough place. They've had some deaths here, and you know, they need to recognize if they lose 1 person or 2 people, they don't all have to suicide for that. Seems like Blaze is doing a little bit of bouncing in and out. We'll go ahead and turn that off, turn the chat off, so we don't have to watch that. Probably just a connection issue, but they said that they were good, so be it. Now Gaslow here on this camp is by himself, and there's nobody really in position to come help, so the stun did interrupt the sound barrier, but I think that's actually beneficial for Lucio, because now that is not on full cooldown, it's just on a short cooldown, and ultimately wasn't really necessary for them. So they do get the shaman camp there, they get the kill onto Gaslow, and making their way up to clear out yet another fort. Now this Punisher here going in the top lane, so it is the quote-unquote safest lane for Game of Thrones, but they now have catapults pressuring their core in the bot lane, and they got to deal with that. Looks like Gaslow's going to come down here and take care of that himself. And Frankfurter's just making the rounds, going from one camp to the next. Wouldn't surprise me to see Murky come over here and get the Shaman camp to have that going in the top lane as well. And Game of Thrones down level 16s, in fact down 4 levels right now, looking for some way to get back into this game. And if they can get a good combo, then they get a whole bunch of XP. Maybe they get 16 out of it, but they got to do it soon. And they don't have Gazlo, but the other side doesn't have Dahaka. They do get a big stun here. Mosh Pit coming out once again, getting just about everybody. Orpheus is going to fall. The jet propulsion hits too. Dahaka's here. Gazlo's not. And so Alex Straza is going to go down next. Varian trying to stay alive with those auto attacks. And a big laser coming out from Gazlo, bringing those health bars down pretty decently, but just not enough. As 4 kills here, going over once again now to the Frank's Furters, and make it 5 in just a moment. Let's take a look at that XP again here. So minions, 9,600 more soaked on the side of Frank's Furters. And we do have both a minion wave and the siege camp down here in the bot lane as well. So now 10,000 more in minions. Now some of that's because, of course, they've had some team wipes. Part of that could just simply be the presence. Like we see here, you know, these globes that aren't getting picked up, even though they're right next to them. So some of that could just be the changes in the system. Sorry for the dog. I'll address that later. But that's a pretty significant difference just coming out from the minions. And there's the Punisher Leap. It does land onto 3 heroes there. So a big stun now from jet propulsion. Does get the combustion, but gets knocked back. And a power slide in is going to kill Blaze. Combination with the meteors there as well. Eternal Feast is coming out to try to get some zoning there. But it's going to be another kill onto Alex Straza. Varian going to be falling here in a moment. Gazlo as well. And another full team wipe here for Frank's Furters. And that's going to give Frank's Furters game number 1 in the bag. All right, so while I show the stats, I'm going to go make sure that my dog stops barking. Alrighty then, so we are back. Game of Thrones and Frank's Furters here. Let's go ahead and give the point to the Furters. So Alpha was, she had some teeth extracted today, so she is sitting over here to my left. I had the other dogs separated out, and that is why Alice decided she had to be so vocal, because she couldn't believe that I would do casting without her. Can't blame her. But let's see where we're going next here. Let's see if we can get a read. As to where Game of Thrones would like to go. Let's close that out. There we go. All right, well, let's take a look at the maps here that we do know so far. We had Game of Thrones banning out the Volskaya Foundry and Alterac Pass. Frank's Furters banned out Braxis Holdout and Sky Temple. And its Infernal Shrines was the first map pick that was picked by Game of Throws and won by Frank's Furters. It sounds like Cursed Hollow is going to be the next game. So we'll go ahead and get that picked up here. That was picked by the Frank's Furters. There you go. Pop that up. Make sure that I've got everybody listed. I do, and that was GOT. Okay. So we'll be getting into this game here shortly, hopefully. But Dally, no. Invite me. All right, how you guys doing? Anybody played Deathwing today, or Bright Deathwing? What are your thoughts? How much fun are you guys having? What I've heard so far is that QM is basically a whole lot of Tychus and Malthael and, you know, some of those other heroes that basically just, you know, dumpster Deathwing, which, you know, whatever, so be it. All right, let's see if we have the same teams. HK Bear, Apollo, Bloody Drapes. Oh. What just happened? Man, my computer is acting all kinds of weird today. It just keeps like auto minimizing things, and I don't think it might not actually like the new Twitch I don't know, setup background, whatever it's called. Side said DJ Cold Cut Sandbox. So everybody's the same, so good stuff there. Berserk and Ripper, thanks for the follows. Appreciate you stopping by. Just waiting on these teams. We're all in the lobby. We're just doing a little bit of, I don't know, maybe Kumbaya. Playing Deathwing in AI games, he's pretty fun, like his as a solo laner, I think. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about a solo laner. Like, he fits in the bruiser category, I think, pretty well, but I don't know that he fits well as a solo laner. I think he does better in the 4 lane as, you know, basically as an assassin. But I did notice it looked like they had changed some of his talents from BlizzCon, so I mean, maybe he does. I didn't get a chance to play him yet in the live setup, so interested to see how that turns out. Sounds like Valkymer's out there trying to convince people to play a 4 a.m. match. That could be exciting. I'd probably be willing to cast that. 4 a.m. Could do that. 7 a.m. for me. Dogs get me up that early anyway. Who cares? So what do we got coming up? So as you can see, we do have upcoming matches. There are still 5 or so matches tonight, but we still have a pretty full week. Wednesday and Thursday both have quite a few matches. Friday and Saturday have a few. On top of that, for those of you interested, the Division S qualifiers that are hosted, that's part of Heroes Lounge but partnered with NGS, is on Saturday starting at 4 p.m. Eastern time. I'll be casting some of those. I imagine that Bahamut or Gravesville will also be hosting some of those as well, so make sure you check that out or sign up for it if you are interested in participating in Division S. The NA setup is a little bit different from EU. EU does it based on points. NA does it based on do you win. So basically, you know, if you win, then you're good to go. So just checking in with the teams here, trying to see if we can get this going here. And I think we have one team ready to go. The other is just about ready, maybe. All right, sounds like they are ready, so... Here we go. Going to Cursed Hollow. Mad Kaiser. Welcome, Joe Zombie. I didn't even see the name. Welcome, Joe Zombie. Good to see you. Ronan, appreciate you stopping by. Some names I'm familiar with. All right, so Cursed Hollow, different map, but a very large map. I'm not even a little bit surprised to see ETC being banned out first. You know, there was a lot of value out of ETC that game, mostly from the mosh pits. You know, and that was, I think part of that was because of positioning, part of that was just because of the play of Frank's Furters. So they were, you know, allowing themselves to kind of set up those plays. But also I feel like Game of Thrones kind of put themselves in that position. So, you know what? Eliminate that as an issue. Kael'thas is being banned out. That's another hero that really punishes when you clump up like that. So, you know, that kind of works in their favor. And they're going to get rid of the Garrosh next. And Sylvanas is going to be the follow-up ban. So keeping with the Game 1 bans in the Kael'thas and Sylvanas and the Garrosh as well. So... for the most part, sticking with what they've got. Now, Johanna's a really solid, you know, I don't want to say easy, but comfortable tank. So, should be a nice value there. Gonna have an earlier Murky this time, so no change from the Raynor Murky combination. But this time, Lucio going over to the side of Game of Thrones. And gonna see... HK Bear playing the Junkrat this time. So Lucio going to be played by Cerulean instead of by Sparhawk, which was the case last round. So far it's been a fun day. Gul'dan going to be once again the third ban, so sticking with what they were familiar with from last round. Still need a solo laner and probably some additional DPS. Maybe another support like a Medivh or a Zarya from the side of Game of Thrones. And all kinds of things here from the Furters. So we need a tank, we need a healer. We could even still see something like an Abathur. Like they could go tank and Abathur. I bet maybe they even not even go with a healer. But it's going to be the Anubarak and Dahaka. So Anubarak... they could go for something like a Zul'jin. They would need a cleanse. Zul'jin would just melt the Anubarak. But they do need that cleanse. Like, there's no question here that whatever healer they pick up, they need to get a cleanse. Right, they already had a healer. I don't know what I'm talking about. NA caster. So we're going to go back into Orphea. This time it's going to be Sparhawk playing Orphea. Or is it? Maybe they're going to swap on me here at the last moment. Bloody Drape's going to come in on the Muradin. So we're going to have a double tank coming out here, putting a lot of the value, a lot of the damage value into that Junkrat and Orphea. And it's going to be Stukov on for indecisive there. So some interesting drafts here. So we've got oh, you know what? Hold on. Let me put up a poll, you guys. So who do you think's going to win game number 2? Game number 2. Game of Thrones. Thanks. Furters. Let's put that up. Vote for who you think will win game number 2. As we're getting started here, the draft fully complete. So once again, you know, with the murky octo grab potential here, you know, Raynor can just do that pretty significant sustained damage, and that's their damage. right? I mean, Stukov, Dahaka, and Anubrak, they can do some okay damage, but they're not going to blow a target up. So Murky's looking for that kind of an octograb. Not a ton of damage on the side of Game of Thrones either, but they do have a little bit there, so they could get that like Riptire into with a Crushing Jaws along with Orpheus combo. So, you know, if they can delete a Murky, then that works. Do they take High Five? Man, that's a tough call, because High Five is just not a... you don't even need to do the hashtag FF. Just look at the top of your screen, and there's a poll. You can actually vote in the poll. There you go, Mr. Joe Zombie. But anyways, let's go ahead and get this game going and get our teams introduced here. On the left, we got the Game of Throws. Got Bloody Drapes on Muradin. Apollo going to be playing Johanna. Cerulean on the Lucio. Sparhawk on Orphea. And HK Bayer on the Junkrat. Over to the right, we got Frank's Furters, currently up 1-0 in this series. We've got Dallying Pig playing the Anubrak. Boggs on the Rainer. Indecisive on Stukov. Blue Bananas on Murky. And once again, DJ Cold Cuts on Dahaka. Taking a look at what we got. Once again, fishy deal. So Murky's going to be looking for those camps. Probably going to look to get some aggressive camps again. But in any case, wants to get those minions and secure those final hits. We also have the Spine Launcher coming out from Stukov, giving him the range. And there's a big stun there. Looks like it's going to be the first kill onto Muradin in this 3v3 in the mid lane there. So Lucio, Orphea, and Muradin hanging out, but Dallying Pig going a little bit too far, getting a little greedy. And it's going to be a return kill. Making use of those towers, and Orphea getting a lot of damage onto Stukov there. If you're going to stand still, Orphea is pretty well okay with that. So Orphea did go with that on point once again, so that's going to give additional damage when she uses it and hits them at the end of that... what is that called? What is that called? Shadow Waltz. That little Q whippy thing she throws out. You know what? I want to see, how are they looking on XP? What is that? So that's siege damage, hero damage. 5? No, 6? Guys, there's got to be a thing for this. Huh. Okay. Well, apparently you can't look up individual XP. Oh, there it is. There it is. So Junkrat 972 as compared to Dahaka 1384, and I think a lot of that is just what we talked about earlier, you know, that melee versus range DPS. And, you know, yeah, Junkrat can clear this wave, but if he can't gather the globes, it doesn't matter, and that will ultimately favor Dahaka in the long run. Unless Junkrat can push him away. And as I mentioned earlier, we've got this healer in the mid lane gathering the soak, and so he's got to stay back because these globes have to be close enough to the wall to be safe. And with Frank's Furters coming up here, they get this vision. Game of Thrones has to know this is going on, but they've got their heroes down at this the mid camp here, so I don't know that there's much they can do about it, especially with this many heroes here. 3 heroes on the aggressive. The best thing they can do is rotate into them on the way back, but they're not going to get that. So siege camp, this is a big problem. This siege camp, like, Junkrat needs to come over here and boop these siege camps into the point, because they're just going to lose this tower, and eventually, I mean, that's going to be a wall and additional issues, I think. So, but with that here, we've got the first tribute of the game coming up. Junkrat's a little bit delayed, but Junkrat has pretty significant poke here. And his level 1 talent is going to help with that as well, because he's going to have that additional 2 seconds before detonating, so those grenades, if they land close. And there are also beetles to be concerned about from the Anubrak here, but Anubrak taking a lot of damage already at about a 1/3 health. And Apollo going in on Johanna is pretty low as well, with the Orphea having to go back. There's plenty of stall on both sides here, so trying to channel that might have been a little bit early with Orphea going back, as we get 2 kills, Lucio and Johanna. And now we've got Game of Thrones looking to just try to stall out as much as they can. But it looks like maybe they got a little too close to the sun there. and that's going to be a dead Orphea. Murden coming up here as this entire wall now is gone. This lane is stalled out as well, so we're going to get minion pressure in the top lane. Working on this wall as well. So that one siege camp getting absolutely incredible value just because of the timing and map awareness there. So a wall, 2 towers at the keep, and an additional tower at the fort because the siege camp either killed or stalled or slowed down that minion wave. So Murden jumping in, using that dwarf toss to get the armor going in here. They do get the condemn onto 2, but the Lucio boop away is going to help to allow Frank's Furters to pull away. But Dahaka and Murky making their way into these lanes to get as much value as they can. Murky is close by, so he can make it back to the second tribute spawning here. And Dahaka's got a global, so he's okay to hang out and gather soak for a bit. I showed these earlier, but level 7s again here, so... Interesting, we see Murky coming back using that fishy deal to bribe that camp here. And Lucio coming in here is using that reverse amp. Now, we did get a Junkrat concussion mine for Raynor, pulling him over the side, booping him off to the side here. But so far, that's it. Now, Raynor's coming in from behind, so no kills just yet. Anubrak is falling low and could be the first kill if they can turn around and get him, but it's going to be Dahaka instead. The team is fairly low here, so Game of Thrones using that amp it up. Now, Murden's falling pretty low as well. Raynor getting a lot of value there. And again, these stalls coming here from the Anubarak, providing a lot of value. Stukov using his lurking arm as well. So they've got to focus and get, you know, these heroes down. They've got a lot of heroes that are very low, but now they're falling low as well. And it's going to be Johanna that falls first here. Lucio going to be second. And level 10s are going to be coming up here soon, so this could turn into a big problem here for Game of Thrones. As that now 4 kills to none out of that. And level 10s are available, so we've got the Octo Grab, we got Cocoon, the Hyperion, and the Isolation from Dahaka. And Sparhawk a little bit far forward there, going into 2 heroes solo. And with the slows coming out from Stukov here, could end up being a kill. It looks like just barely able to get out of there, and thanks to that beetle, I think Stukov lives just because of that one beetle. Because one more hit from that tower, I think, would have taken out the Stukov. But Orphea's a little lucky there. That spine launcher with that 20% slow doesn't seem like much, but it's enough. And as I say that, Orphea kind of cut off from the rest of the team here, is going to get caught and killed. And it looks like Dahaka may be in a similar circumstance here. Does use the burrow. Got to be careful so that they have a stun available to interrupt his Brush Stalker. But I guess he must not have had it. So that's going to give them a 1-for-1 equal. But the kill coming out from Frank's Furters here, pushing in the bot lane, getting that fort. And all that Game of Thrones can really do is focus on getting some XP and trying to catch up here, as they're now 3 levels behind, soon to be 2 when they get their ultimates. Is Aero Lord of the Dance? Definitely not of the dance. Uh-oh. Orphea getting caught out down here at the keep. Needs to be a little bit safer there if she's going to go with that Q build, and the on point there, you know, should be a little bit farther away. Picking up the E talent at level 7 as well, so got to be really careful here. As Game of Thrones is coming back in. Now, this is a 4v4. Murky's not close by, as the Cocoon is going out onto Johanna. Sound barrier used. And a big silence coming from the Stukov is going to get the kill onto the Murden. Big Riptire, though, with the Eternal Feast, and Johanna coming in with that falling sword as Junkrat dying in the backline there. Lucio trying to stay alive and keep the Dahaka off of Orphea here, but it's going to be another kill, so make that a 5th kill. And this should be a quick boss turn, right? No, they're going to start with the structures. That's fair. I mean, structures are permanent. You can't bring them back. And Murky's going to go ahead and pick up the curse. And this is going to give them an actual curse. Oh, you got lag. That's unfortunate. Division D. That is true. This is the third Division D, specifically even East cast that I've done so far this week. And it's the second day of the season. So there you go. Curse picked up for Frank's Furters. See, and they got me all screwed up because I keep thinking Frank's Furters is on the left because that's how they should have been. Alrighty then. With this curse here, Frank's Furters is going to make their way, get the mid fort. The top fort will go down, I think, to those minions. So if there's, you know, no pressure there, Octograb used there onto the Johanna as she was a little bit far forward there. And Lucio did have to use Sound Barrier to escape. I think Johanna was looking for maybe to slow things down and use the Falling Sword to get out. But Octograb's a long stun. Not a lot you can do with that one. And even with this siege camp, the minion wave is going to go ahead and clear up the top lane, as mentioned earlier. So bot lane is also in quite a bit of danger here. Most likely this fort goes down unless unless somebody that does some actual damage comes down here. With this catapult getting that pressure, that is going to be the first keep of the game as well. And Frank's Furters spread out all around the map. Murky's going to work on getting that siege camp. Does have the bribe. And siege camp picked up here. Actually, Murky's on the bruiser camp, not the siege camp. But we've got a rotation coming in. 12 to 15 here. Level 13 is available for the Frank's Furters here, as Lucio getting just brought down so hard. But this, again, this is a 4v5, so this is a fight that ultimately Game of Thrones, you know, once Murden does get brought out of the cocoon, but Murky's coming in from behind, so they got to watch out for the Octograb as well. Johanna falling to the Rainer, and Murden is still in the fight, so there is still potential for them to get a kill or two here, but not quite able to do so. The siege camp, or the bruiser camp, now coming in, and this is a double bruiser camp here into the group. Dahaka making use of that burrow to dodge the Junkrat concussion. I'm sorry, the Junkrat Riptire. And now the silence here from Stukov with that extended duration as well, just really locking down the team. And there's Orphea getting pulled in by the tongue, grabbed by the Octograb, and finished by the Stukov. And this looks like a pretty solid push, as Junkrat the only hero with any damage, but he gets tongued, pulled away, use the concussion mine to get out. Might be able to make it out, but Lucio's going to fall to Rainer, and Junkrat gets very close. Mid keep is going to go down here, and they still have the double mages for the spell armor, so if they get this kill onto Johanna, I fully expect them to look at, you know, ending the game at this point. They're, well, maybe not. I mean, Bog's taking a lot of damage there on Rainer. Doesn't have any mana as well, so he's going to go ahead and pull back. I mean, level 13 to 17, I think that's, you know, an opportunity for them to kind of push. It's relatively safe. There's only one curse down. It sounds like one of the heroes has DC'd. But it's up to them to pause, not me. What did we get on our poll? Oh, I can't see the poll results. Manage poll, view results. 2-1 on the votes. Game of Throws 2 to Frank's Furters 1. And there's a huge play there with the Octograb. The Eternal Feast coming out isn't quite gonna land anything here, but Johanna is gonna get silenced. She's gonna pop that Falling Sword to get out, as Junkrat and now Orphea both going to get caught, CC'd, and taken out. And Johanna here trying to make her way back to the gate so that she can be safe, as the ping's coming out for Frank's Furters to get on this core and bring it down. It looks like that's going to be game number 2 going over to Frank's Furters. All right, showcase these stats. So 3 kills to 23. Similar to what we had in game 1 there. Overall talents here. Showcase those for a moment here. Somebody apparently wants to be friends. All right, so give me a moment and we'll see if we can get a quick interview here. All right, looks like we're going to get Indecisive, the healer from Furters here. But, you did, Wono. You just missed it.
Howdy.
Hey there. Welcome, Indecisive from the Furters, the support player, correct?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Well, thanks for joining me here. So, got that game. It took a little bit to get the game started. Had a little bit of a delay thanks to addressing subs. But finally got that going, and looked like a very strong match from you guys. So, congratulations on your victory there.
Thanks.
So you guys have had a little bit of a bouncing around in divisions. I think you in season 6 were in Division D, and season 7 you were in Division C, weren't you?
Correct.
And then now you're back into Division D. So I know Dowling Peg mentioned either earlier today or yesterday, that some things with the team have kind of shaken up, and that you guys are starting to hit your stride again. Is that how it feels to you, that things are kind of coming together and feeling a little bit more like where you guys were maybe at the end of season 6?
I genuinely don't think we're quite to that shape that we were at the end of season 6. I think at the end of season 6 we were a much better team than we are now. I think that in general, I think we're on our upswing again, back to there. I don't think we're quite there yet, like I said, but we're definitely getting there, heading on the upswing. Sure.
Well, and you guys played some interesting comps here. Obviously, having the extra, number 5 throws a lot of variables into the circumstances. But the potential for an octograb like blow up is always fun to watch. And especially when you've got the additional follow-up of like the ETC Anubrak, the Stukov. So, that it was interesting to see how you guys made that work, but it ended up turning, like, every fight turned into, hey, we get 1 kill, but then it turns into 5 kills. So other than like an obvious 4-man mosh, what did you guys do to make sure that you were staying in those fights and in a position that you could win those fights, especially on Cursed Hollow, where some of those fights were relatively even until they weren't?
Generally it was a lot of focus, you know what I mean? We were focusing one champ. If you hear someone in the background, don't worry about it. Anyway, there was a lot of focus, just real quick call outs of, hey, blow up him. Besides that, we were making sure that we weren't putting too much focus on objectives, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you have to abandon an objective just to secure 5 kills. So we were making sure we did that as opposed to just staying on objectives when we needed to. Sure.
Yeah, and that makes sense. In your first game there on Infernal Shrines, so you had ETC, Raynor, Dahaka, Murky, and Lucio, and it seemed like, obviously, the Dahaka Murky was the case in game number 2. It seemed like you guys were really focusing on the XP. I think Dahaka had a pretty significant XP lead over Junkrat early game there. How did you guys adapt to the XP changes that came out today, or was it even a conversation you had?
I'm not gonna lie, most of my day today was spent sleeping, and then I was at class, so I had not played with the XP changes at all. It's a good thing that I'm not a solo laner, because that would have sucked. But so the XP changes, I think people are gonna underestimate how important that is. I think being, that it came out on the same day that NGS started was kind of unfortunate, because I think people aren't going to be able to adapt to that as well as they might think. I think that people are going to downplay the XP. Like you saw the Murky's XP stat in both games was absolutely absurd. Because Murky's just constantly sitting in lane and it doesn't matter, you know, like he's able to deny XP as well between his slimes and his pufferfish. It bullying people out of lane is going to be so much more effective now because you can't just sit back and soak XP that way. You know what I mean? You have to actually get in there, which is why Dahaka had such a high XP lead on the Junkrat, because Junkrat's trying to passively farm from the back. That's all well and fine, but you're not getting the XP. So right. I think that's definitely something to look out for. Melee solo lane champs I think are going to be better than ranged for that reason.
Yeah, and I mentioned that early on too, in that first game. I think in the first game anyways, that, you know, ranged are going to have more difficulty. You're going to see healers going to a solo lane to cover while people are doing camps, and they're not going to get any value because they can't, right? And so it's going to be a pretty big shift in thinking in how, you know, everybody plays this game. But it's interesting to get some of those heroes. At one point in Infernal Shrines, you guys were 10,000 XP ahead in minions alone. Good so God. That and to put that in perspective, that was a 50% increase in minion XP that you guys had over the other team. So, you know, and that correlated to a 4-level lead at one point. So it's going to be interesting to see how teams adapt to that. And I think that, you know, it's just going to take some time for teams to recognize how important it is to actually have your body up in front. But it was really good to see you guys, you know, focus on that and bring that into focus for the viewers, so to speak. So before I let you go and do any shout outs, is there any special moment in the game, that in the match, that you felt was, you know, particularly awesome, or any big plays that you made that you want to, you know, shout out or highlight?
Dallying Pigs moshes are always the fattest. So obviously every single mosh was great. Besides that, I just return to Lucio for me is special, because in that season 6 where we won our division, that was the season where they reworked Lucio. And prior to the rework, I loved Lucio. He was my favorite. And post the rework, I just didn't touch him because I thought the rework kind of ruined him. But I've been picking him up lately, and I'm enjoying where he's at now. So I think they've worked a lot better on that. And so yeah, I'm happy with the return to Lucio. I'm happy with DP's moshes. Our Rainer cools on, or Boggs, his damage numbers were, I think in the first game it was like 65,000, and the next closest was like 26,000. So you know, that's always something to look out for. Just those kinds of things, you know. Sure.
All right, well, any shout outs you've got for Twitchland before we take off?
Okay, let's see if I can remember this. My boys Franklin, Franco, Frankie, and Francis, and that's all.
Franklin, Franco, Frankie, and
Francis.
All right. Are those the other people on the team?
Yes.
That is...
I'm Frank.
Really interesting and quite a coincidence.
Yep.
All right. Well, thanks for joining me there, Frank.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Have a good night, and again, congratulations on your victory.
Thank you. You too.
Yep.
Except, well, have a good night, not congrats. But
you know what? You can pre-congrats us, because we have a game in a couple of hours, and we'll just make sure that we win, so that your congrats is warranted. How about that?
Congrats for that, huh?
All right, thanks.
Yep. See ya.
Yep. All right, and thanks everybody for joining us here. So it's only 7 o'clock. I don't think there are any other games. This is done so early. I don't think there are any other games available just yet. Let me just to be sure, confirm on the calendar. Yeah, so the next game coming up is going to be Division A Minion Miners versus Wholesome Halfwits. It's going to be cast over at twitch.tv/MarkZombie. And once again, I would be remiss if I didn't point out that tonight at 9:30, Regen Phoenix is going to be playing the Indecisive Scrubs, and you can catch that action at twitch.tv/MurdaRG. For now, this is the end of the Game of Throws and Frank's Furters cast. Appreciate y'all stopping by. Have a wonderful night.